There is a silent ache living inside so many people, a persistent, invisible weight that presses down on their spirit with every breath they take. It's the burden of believing they must shrink to be accepted. The ache of walking through life with their head slightly bowed, their light dim, their voice filtered through the fear of being too much. They smile politely, tiptoe carefully, apologize often, and hide instinctively all, to avoid disturbing a world that has somehow convinced them that their very being needs justification. But let me remind you of something sacred and eternal. You are not here by accident. You were not placed on this earth to tiptoe around the edges of your own life. You are a divine creation, a masterpiece sculpted from the infinite intelligence of Source itself. And your very existence is not something to apologize for. It is something to stand inside of, fully, gratefully, and unapologetically. The moment you were conceived, an entire universe conspired to breathe life into you. Stars collapsed and reformed in ancient skies. Oceans moved in rhythm with your heartbeat long before you ever touched the sand. The trees were already waiting to offer you shade. The sun was already burning so it could warm your skin. Life did not ask you to prove your worth before it gave you breath. It simply loved you into being. So who are you to apologize for that? Somewhere along the way, the world taught you how to forget your worth. You were handed roles to play and masks to wear. You were told to be quiet, be good, be agreeable, be less. You were taught to seek permission, to prove, to earn, to mold yourself into something palatable to those who hadn't yet remembered their own light. And the tragedy of it all is not just that you believed them, but that you started believing you had to apologize for the parts of you that were too free, too emotional, too passionate, too different, too radiant. But I tell you now, you were not born to beg for space in a universe that formed around you. You are not here to prove your right to exist. Your presence on this planet is the proof. And the very breath in your lungs is the permission. Stop apologizing for needing rest. Stop apologizing for setting boundaries. Stop apologizing for taking up space. Stop apologizing for your tears, your laughter, your healing, your truth. Stop apologizing for no longer tolerating what drains your soul. Stop apologizing for honoring what your spirit whispers in the quiet hours when no one else is watching. That is your truth. And your truth does not require approval, it requires alignment. The ego will tell you that to be loved, you must be pleasing. That to belong, you must be agreeable. But your soul, your soul knows better. Your soul came here for authenticity, not approval. It came here to remember its own holiness, not to be molded by a world still asleep in the dream of separation. You do not owe anyone an explanation for your joy. You do not owe an apology for your healing. You are not selfish for putting yourself first when the world has asked you to abandon yourself for so long. You are not difficult for saying no when yes would betray your soul. You are not too much. You are not too sensitive. You are not too anything. You are exactly as you were designed to be, and that design is flawless because it was carved from the fabric of God itself. When you apologize for your existence, you declare to the universe that your presence is a burden, and what you declare becomes the frequency you live in. But when you decide, truly decide, to no longer shrink yourself to be digestible, you rise into a vibration where miracles unfold. Not because you've earned them, but because you've finally stopped resisting them. Healing begins when you stop apologizing for what hurts. Freedom begins when you stop pretending you're not bound. Power begins when you stop seeking permission to be who you already are. There is nothing humble about hiding. There is nothing noble about dimming your light so others can feel comfortable in the dark. True humility is standing tall in your divine nature while knowing that same divinity lives in everyone else. True humility is saying, I will not shrink to fit into your expectations, but I will love you while I rise. And that is what we are all called to do, to rise. To rise into the fullness of our being, to rise into the sacred remembrance that we are already worthy, already whole, already enough. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are not an inconvenience to this world. You are the miracle itself. You are the prayer someone else is whispering. You are the answer life is unfolding through. Stop apologizing for that. Your pain does not disqualify you. Your confusion does not cancel your divinity. Your past does not reduce your value. In fact, it is often those very things, the wounds, the questions, the battles, that become the fire that forges your awakening. And in the fire, the ego screams, but the soul sings. You don't have to be perfect. You only have to be present. You don't have to have all the answers. You only have to be willing to listen, not to the noise of the world, but to the quiet hum of eternity vibrating within you. That's where your truth lives. That's where your power waits. That's where God meets you, not in apology, but in authenticity. When you say, I'm sorry for being too much, you abandon the part of you that is finally ready to rise. When you say, I'm sorry for needing space, you betray the soul that is asking you to breathe. When you say, I'm sorry for taking up room in the world, you rob that very world of the medicine only your presence can give. You are not here to fix anyone. You are here to free yourself. And in your freedom, others are reminded that they too are free. Stop apologizing for your healing journey. It may be messy, it may be nonlinear, it may confuse those who've never dared to walk their own, but your healing is holy. It is not a performance. It is not a public relations campaign. It is sacred alchemy. It is the resurrection of your soul from the ashes of old conditioning. Let your healing be loud. Let your boundaries be firm. Let your truth be untamed. Let your light be unapologetic. And let your presence be permission for others to do the same. You are not here to entertain the wounded expectations of others. You are here to embody the wholeness that lives within you, to remember it, to reclaim it, and to radiate it like the sun that shines without asking if it's allowed to rise. God does not apologize for creating you. So why would you apologize for being? You are not what the world told you you had to be. You are not your mistakes. You are not your labels. You are not your trauma. You are not your timeline. You are not your body. You are not your roles. You are not your past. You are something far more eternal, far more radiant, far more expansive. You are the light of God in human form, learning, growing, stumbling, rising, awakening. And in every breath you take, you have the opportunity to return to that truth. Not to earn it, but to remember it, to breathe into it, to live from it. You are the sky, vast, untouchable, unbroken. Your emotions are the weather that passes through. Your pain is not your identity. Your fear is not your home. Your past is not your prison. All of it, every piece is passing, transient, part of your becoming, not the definition of your being. Stop apologizing for what makes you feel alive. Stop apologizing for your passions, your dreams, your voice, your vision. Stop apologizing for your uniqueness. It is not a defect. It is your design. It is how God made sure the world would never lose the medicine only you could bring. Let the shame melt. Let the guilt dissolve. Let the unworthiness unravel. And in its place, plant the truth like a flag in the ground of your soul. I am allowed to be here. I am allowed to be whole. I am allowed to take up space. I am allowed to heal. I am allowed to shine. I am allowed to live as if I was never broken, because I never truly was. You are not here to be a watered-down version of your truth. You are here to be the full expression of divine life moving through you. Stop apologizing. Start living. You are not born with a sign around your neck that says, I'm sorry for being here. That sign was crafted by fear, fastened by conditioning, and tightened by the opinions of others who forgot their own divinity. But now, with a breath of awareness, with a clarity of presence, you have the power to take it off, to tear it away, to stand naked before life and the truth of your being and say, I no longer need to be small to feel safe. I no longer need to be silent to feel seen. I no longer need to apologize for the breath that was given to me by something far greater than this world. No flower apologizes for blooming too brightly. No ocean apologizes for being too vast. No star whispers regret for its brilliance. So why should you, who carry the same creative spark, shrink your light to fit into a room built on forgetfulness? The fear of being too much is the echo of someone else's disconnection. But your fullness does not harm, it heals. Your wholeness does not intimidate, it liberates. Your radiance does not cast shadows, it reveals the places still waiting to awaken. You are not a burden for feeling deeply. You are not a mistake for walking away from what wounds your peace. You are not selfish for choosing to protect the sacred temple of your being. In fact, the greatest act of service you can offer the world is to become so deeply aligned with your true self that you no longer bend to the distortions of those who haven't yet remembered who they are. Stop apologizing for needing solitude. The soul grows in stillness. It hears the whisper of God in the hush between distractions. In the silence you try to fill, your spirit speaks loudest. You are not antisocial for choosing stillness over noise. You are sacred. Stop apologizing for your joy. There are people who will misunderstand your happiness because they've never dared to believe they deserve it themselves. But your joy is not a threat, it is a map. It shows the way home to those still lost in the maze of their minds. And stop apologizing for your voice. You were given a sound, a truth, a message encoded with divine intelligence. You were meant to speak, not just in words, but in presence, in energy, in frequency. Your existence hums with a song no other being can sing. So let it rise, let it soar, let it break the silence of suppression. Because when you give yourself permission to be fully expressed, you gift the world with a living example of what freedom looks like. There are those who will ask you to tone it down, to be more agreeable, to keep the peace by betraying yourself. But that's not peace, that's performance. And the soul was not born to perform, it was born to be. Being does not ask for applause. It asks for truth. It asks for presence. It asks for you to look in the mirror and finally say, I see you, I honor you, I no longer abandon you for the comfort of others. This is your rebirth. This is your rising. This is the moment when you decide that you don't owe anyone a diluted version of your truth. You don't need to lower your voice to be heard by those still sleeping. Let them sleep, let them dream. But you awaken. And when you awaken, you stop explaining your light to those committed to living in shadow. You stop trying to prove your value to those who've misplaced their own. You stop waiting for permission that has already been granted by existence itself. Can you feel it? That stirring in your chest? That sacred remembrance in your belly? That holy flame flickering behind your ribs? That's life saying, you are allowed to speak, to rest, to dance, to feel, to create, to grieve, to laugh, to cry, to walk away, to begin again. You are allowed to be unapologetically you, messy, divine, evolving, radiant, real, because God doesn't make mistakes. And you were not put here to be someone's idea of who you should be. You were sculpted from Source, and Source doesn't apologize for itself. It moves through galaxies, it breathes through mountains, it sings through birdsong and thunder, and now it pulses through you. You don't need to earn your right to exist. That right was bestowed on you the moment your soul agreed to this human journey. You don't need to prove your worth. You are the worth. You are the evidence of divine intelligence in motion. You are the miracle you've been waiting for. So stop apologizing for evolving beyond environments that no longer match your frequency. Stop apologizing for letting go of identities that were only ever survival mechanisms. Stop apologizing for not being who you used to be. You are not here to repeat. You are here to transform. When you stop apologizing, you begin to honor. And in that sacred honoring, you start to remember I am the light. I am the love. I am the presence. I am the now. I am the one I was waiting for. And this remembrance, this deep cellular knowing, it doesn't require drama. It doesn't require explanation. It just is. Like the breath, like the ocean tide, like the stars spinning silently through a sky that never asks for permission to shine. When you live from this place of unapologetic presence, you move differently. You love more freely. You speak more clearly. You walk through the world not trying to be liked, but simply being light. And those still seeking themselves may not understand you, but those ready to awaken will recognize you, not because of what you say, but because of how you feel. You will become a mirror, a reminder, a beacon. Not because you set out to be those things, but because you finally allowed yourself to stop pretending you weren't already them. And what a gift that is, not just to yourself, but to the world. So I ask you now, gently, lovingly, directly, what would it feel like to stop apologizing forever? What would it feel like to wake up tomorrow and no longer ask for permission to follow your soul's deepest calling? What would it feel like to rest without guilt, speak without fear, create without censoring, and love without abandoning yourself? That feeling you just imagined, that's not fantasy, that's truth. That's your natural state. That's what your soul came here to remember, to embody, to live. And you don't need to earn it. You only need to choose it. Let the choosing begin now. Let your breath be your vow. Let your silence be your reset. Let your next step be your liberation. And let the world adjust to the sound of your unapologetic soul rising. You are not here to adjust your vibration to fit a world that has forgotten how to feel. You are here to remember, to return, to reclaim your sacredness in a world addicted to appearances. You are not meant to be accepted by everyone. You are meant to be authentic with yourself. And in that radical authenticity, you align with something greater than approval. You align with truth, with God, with the frequency of freedom. You were not born to be a shapeshifter in someone else's narrative. You are the author of your own becoming. You are the breath of divine intention woven into flesh. You are the yes that life whispered into the cosmos before you even arrived. There will be moments when the remnants of your conditioning rise. You will still feel the urge to apologize, to soften your truth, to twist yourself into shapes that feel familiar, even if they suffocate you. But in those moments, I ask you to pause, to breathe, to place your hand over your heart and say, I no longer abandon myself to be digestible. I no longer apologize for who I am becoming. Because who you are becoming is the most honest version of who you've always been beneath the layers. The child who knew how to dream without fear, how to speak without shame, how to dance without watching, how to love without guarding. That version of you is not gone. It is simply waiting for your permission to return. You cannot awaken if you are still apologizing for what your awakening disrupts. The moment you stop explaining your growth is the moment it becomes your natural state. Like water returning to the ocean, you begin to flow back into the infinite. You see, life is not asking you to become something you're not. It's asking you to remember what you already are. There is nothing missing, nothing broken, nothing unworthy. The only illusion is that you ever believed otherwise. And that illusion dies the day you say, I am done performing. I am done pretending. I am done apologizing for being exactly who the universe dreamed me into. It's time now to lay down the armor, the one made of I'm sorry, the one built from fear of rejection, fear of judgment, fear of disappointing others. You do not need it anymore. You never did. Your safety is not in hiding, it's in remembering. Remembering that when you stand in truth, you are never truly alone because the divine walks with you, in you, as you. Let this be your awakening. The realization that your existence is not a problem to solve, but a gift to unwrap every day, in every moment, in every breath. The more you unwrap, the more you reveal the miracle of presence, the miracle of wholeness, the miracle of being unapologetically you. When you no longer apologize for your presence, something miraculous happens. Life begins to respond to you differently. The right people find you. The right doors open. The right energy flows. Not because you finally proved yourself, but because you finally stopped resisting yourself. That's the real secret resistance, is the only thing that keeps you from the life you long for. Not the past, not the people, not the circumstances. It's the belief that you have to shrink, bend, explain, or apologize for what already belongs to you. Let the resistance go. Let it fall off you like an old skin, brittle with the dust of outdated stories. Let it drop like a heavy coat on a summer day, unnecessary, burdensome, ready to be released. You are not here to dim down to survive. You are here to shine to remember. And your light is not arrogance, it's awareness. It's not ego, it's essence. It's not performance, it's presence. And oh, how the world needs your presence. Not your perfection, not your compliance, not your smallness, your presence. Your whole, holy, unapologetic, radiant, messy, miraculous presence. That's what heals. That's what liberates. That's what transforms. You are the healing you've been seeking. You are the return you've been waiting for. You are the revolution your blood remembers. And it begins not with striving, not with effort, but with allowing. Allowing yourself to exist without apology. Allowing yourself to be here without explanation. Allowing yourself to breathe, to feel, to rest, to rise, all without needing anyone's stamp of approval. Because the only approval that ever truly mattered was your own. You are allowed to rewrite the rules, to walk away from shame, to stop explaining your light to those still addicted to their shadows. And you are allowed to do it gently. This doesn't need to be dramatic. It can be soft. Like the moment you choose silence over self-betrayal. Like the moment you choose rest over burnout. Like the moment you choose presence over people-pleasing. It's not about fighting who you were. It's about welcoming who you are. When you say yes to your own existence fully, completely, unapologetically, you become a sanctuary, a space where others remember it's safe to do the same. You stop perpetuating the legacy of apology and begin embodying the lineage of freedom. And isn't that what the world needs now? Not more apologies, more awakenings, not more conformity, more courage, not more fitting in, more standing out, not for attention, but for truth. So now, as we begin to lean gently toward the final stretch of this sacred remembering, let yourself breathe into this truth. You are a divine soul. You are not here by accident. You are not broken. You do not need fixing. You need honoring. You need embracing. You need remembering. Not by the world, but by you. You have nothing left to apologize for. You are not behind. You are not too late. You are not too much. You are on time. Right here, right now, with the breath of God in your lungs, with the wisdom of eternity in your cells, with the courage to rise echoing in your bones. You do not need permission to be free. You only need to stop pretending you aren't. And the moment you do, the moment you release the last apology lingering in your energy field, the whole universe exhales in celebration because you finally remembered what it has known all along. You are not here to apologize for your existence. You are here to embody it. You do not owe your light to anyone else's comfort. You do not have to fold yourself in half to be loved. You do not need to barter your authenticity for belonging. Because the deepest belonging begins when you belong fully to yourself, when you no longer need a crowd to echo your worth, because your very breath is an affirmation from the divine that you matter, that you are sacred, that your being is an irreplaceable note in the cosmic symphony of existence. Do you know what happens when you stop apologizing for your existence? You become available for life, truly available. Available to receive joy without guilt. Available to speak truth without trembling. Available to love without disappearing. Available to create without censoring. Available to serve without losing yourself. You become the open channel through which God pours, not because you became worthy, but because you remembered you always were. And in that remembering, something extraordinary occurs. You stop striving for freedom and you begin embodying it. The trees don't ask for forgiveness when they grow tall. The rivers don't say, "I'm sorry," as they carve canyons into mountains. The stars don't apologize for lighting the sky. So why would you apologize for shining in the way only you can? You are not a mistake that needs to be corrected. You are a miracle that needs to be witnessed. And your first witness must be you. So take this moment right here, right now, and breathe into the truth that your very existence is holy ground. Your life is not something you need to earn. It is something you get to inhabit fully, gratefully, boldly. And every time you choose presence over apology, you reclaim another part of your soul. Every time you speak your truth, even when your voice trembles, you realign with the deeper rhythm of the universe. Every time you say no to what dishonors you and yes to what nourishes you, you shift the fabric of reality toward love. This is not selfish. This is sacred. Because when you are full, not ego-full, but soulful, you overflow into others. Your wholeness becomes contagious. Your light becomes a mirror. Your freedom becomes a map. And without needing to fix, preach, or perform, you simply become the embodiment of permission. Permission to feel. Permission to rest. Permission to evolve. Permission to be. And that is how the world heals, not through force, but through presence. Not through shame, but through remembrance. Not through apology, but through alignment. So the invitation now is this: walk forward, not as someone seeking to be enough, but as someone who has remembered they always were. Walk as one who no longer begs for room, but who blesses every space with their being. Walk as one who does not shrink in fear, but expands in love. And if the world trembles at your fullness, let it. That trembling is the sound of illusions breaking. That trembling is the sound of permission rippling through collective consciousness. That trembling is the birth cry of a new way of being, one that no longer apologizes for its own holiness. You were born for this. You were born to be seen, not for who others want you to be, but for who you truly are. Beneath the costumes, the masks, the edits, you were born to be heard, not with a voice that performs, but with one that pierces through illusion like thunder wrapped in honey. You were born to stand not above others, but beside your own soul in unwavering devotion. You were born to awaken not someday, but now. And now is enough. Now is sacred. Now is waiting. Waiting for you to say the words that shift your entire reality. I no longer apologize for being me. Say it again. Gently. I no longer apologize for being me. Let it settle in your belly. Let it move through your spine. Let it dissolve the chains that were never yours to carry. You are no longer bound to a life of permission slips and second guessing. You are no longer required to carry guilt as your entry pass into love. You are no longer obligated to dilute your spirit to be understood. You are here to live in the fullness of your sacred yes. And this is your yes. This is your exhale. This is your homecoming. You will not be for everyone, but you are for you. You are for God. You are for truth. And that is enough. That is everything. And from this place, this whole radiant, unapologetic place, you now become the living proof that freedom is not found in permission, but in presence. You become the walking remembrance that we are all divine, we are all worthy, and none of us need to apologize for the miracle we already are. And now, as the final petals of this message begin to unfold in your heart, let these words land like soft thunder in your soul. You are allowed. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to rise. You are allowed to cry. You are allowed to laugh. You are allowed to walk away. You are allowed to stay. You are allowed to rewrite your story. You are allowed to no longer explain it. You are allowed to just be, without justification, without apology, just you, whole, sacred, loved, free. You were not born to race the clock. You were not born to chase the minutes like loose marbles scattering across a tile floor. You were born timeless, infinite, spacious, a breath of God inhabiting the temporary shell of flesh and bone, not to be measured by hours past, but by the light you emit while here. Time, as you have come to know it, is not your master. It is your mirror. And you, beloved, are not behind. You are simply being invited to expand within the sacred space of now. The panic you feel around time is not because time is cruel. It's because the ego believes your worth is tied to productivity, to calendars and clocks and external achievements. But your spirit knows better. Your soul is not in a rush. It is eternal. It is patient. It is not counting days, it is breathing presence into them. What if your purpose was not to keep up, but to slow down until you become one with the rhythm that has always been here, beneath the noise? Time is not something you have, it is something you are in relationship with. It stretches when you are present. It contracts when you resist. It disappears altogether when you are in flow. And it traps you in anxiety when you believe you must catch up with something outside yourself. But there is nothing to catch. The finish line is not in the future, it is in your stillness. The trees are not in a hurry, yet they grow. The sun is not anxious, yet it rises. The moon doesn't beg for your permission to shine light, simply is. Why then, dear soul, do you rush through your own becoming? Who convinced you that your sacred unfolding had to be done on a timeline someone else invented? The divine is not on a schedule. Your awakening has no due date. You see, the illusion of running out of time is not a crisis of time itself, it is a crisis of identity. The part of you that fears not enough time is the same part of you that believes it must earn its place here. That is the voice of the ego. The ego will tell you, do more, be more, achieve more, then you'll be safe. But the soul whispers, you already are. Be still and know. When you are truly present, when you drop beneath the mind's fixation on past and future, you enter the timeless field of being. This is where healing happens. This is where peace lives. This is where you remember that nothing real can be rushed and nothing true can be missed. In that holy space, you no longer chase time. You become a vessel for eternity. Pause with me now, not to analyze, but to feel. Feel the breath in your body. It is not yesterday's breath, it is not tomorrow's, it is this owner right now. This breath is your teacher. It says, everything is happening here, everything is born now, nothing is out of reach when you are rooted in this sacred inhale. You do not need to earn stillness, it is your home. You were not sent here to keep pace with a society that has forgotten how to be. You were not created to perform urgency like a ritual of self-worth. The race is not real. The timeline is not divine. It is man-made. What is real is your awareness. What is holy is your presence. What is miraculous is the love you allow to flow through you when you no longer resist the moment you're in. And I say to you now, from the deepest well of truth, peace is not found in managing time. It is found in surrendering to being. When you stop trying to bend time to your will and instead open to its flow, you become aligned with the infinite intelligence that knows what you truly need and when you need it. Your life starts to feel guided, not pressured, orchestrated, not forced. So many people ask, how do I find more time? But this is the wrong question. The real question is, how do I return to the eternal now where time loses its grip and I find my soul again? The answer is always presence. The answer is always inner spaciousness. You do not need more hours, you need fewer distractions. You do not need to speed up, you need to return inward. There is a spiritual physics to life. When you become still inside, the external world aligns itself around your clarity. Not because you have control, but because you are now cooperating with divine timing. The more you trust the unfolding, the more you see that every delay had a purpose. Every pause had a gift, and every moment was never wasted, it was forming you. You may think your future lives in the next 5 years, but the truth is, your future is being formed in how you show up right now. Do you rush past the moment, or do you live in it fully? Do you squeeze time, or do you soften into it? When you expand within time, your energy shifts from force to faith, and that shift is everything. Because when you live from the soul, you are no longer governed by fear's clock. You become timeless when you release resistance. You become powerful when you stop performing urgency. You become divine when you stop fighting the moment you're in and allow it to be what it is, without judgment, without panic, without shame. The sacred is always still. The holy is always now. And here's a truth worth remembering every day. You do not run out of time when you live aligned with the source, because source is eternal. And you, beloved, are an extension of that source. How can you be late to your own life when life itself lives through you? When you are truly aligned with the divine rhythm of life, you will notice something miraculous. The moment begins to slow down for you, not because the clock has changed, but because your consciousness has. The more inwardly spacious you become, the more expansive the world around you begins to feel. Opportunities that once slipped by unnoticed begin to reveal themselves. Silence becomes meaningful. A conversation becomes sacred. A walk becomes a communion. This is the reward of presence. It awakens you to what has always been here. You are not waiting for life to begin. Life is waiting for you to arrive. And arriving does not mean doing more, rushing more, checking more boxes. It means becoming awake to this very breath, this very feeling, this very now. There is no magic in the future if you're asleep in the present. The ego will always convince you that fulfillment is one step ahead, one goal away, one promotion, one relationship, one achievement down the line. But the soul smiles and says, I am already here. Be with me now. We live in a culture addicted to urgency. Urgency has become a false badge of importance. But urgency is not presence, it is the child of fear. Urgency says, I am not enough unless I prove my worth through speed. But presence says, I am already enough. And from this stillness, miracles unfold. The deepest transformation you can experience in this lifetime is not rearranging your schedule, it is realigning your relationship to time itself. Because time isn't chasing you. It is offering itself to you. It is a silent invitation to return to what is real. But most people don't hear this invitation. They are running, trying to outrun the voice in their head that says they'll never be enough. But there is no finish line to self-worth. You are worthy now. You are already whole now. No achievement, no title, no external validation can complete what the divine already calls perfect. Let this truth move through you. The present moment is not a stepping stone, it is the entire path. When you expand within this moment, you stop grasping and start allowing. You stop begging life to hurry, and you begin to trust that everything you need is arriving right on time. your healing, your awakening, your purpose, your next step. They are not on some distant horizon. They are embedded in the present, right here, in this breath, in this stillness. You've been taught that stillness is laziness, that not moving is failure, that rest is weakness. But the truth is, stillness is spiritual strength. It takes power to pause. It takes deep faith to listen before you act. It takes courage to trust that life is unfolding perfectly, even when you don't see the outcome yet. That's the difference between living by ego and living by spirit. Ego demands a result. Spirit embraces the process. You were never meant to conquer time. You were meant to harmonize with it. And the only way to harmonize with time is to live from your soul. Because your soul is not counting the minutes, it is counting the moments of truth, the moments of love, the moments of surrender. And the soul doesn't measure success in speed, it measures success in alignment. Slow down, not because you're giving up, but because you're finally waking up to the miracle of a heartbeat, waking up to the beauty of your breath, waking up to the divine whisper that says, you are not running out of time. You are simply being called to return home, to yourself, to your center, to the eternal now. When you live from the ego, every moment feels like a race. When you live from the soul, every moment feels like grace. The difference is not in what you do, it's in how you be. Can you allow yourself to be rooted, not rushed? Can you trust that your becoming is not on a timer, but on a divine timeline? The soul does not bloom on demand. The soul blooms in divine timing. And divine timing is never late, never early, only perfect. But to see its perfection, you must stop looking at life through the lens of control and begin to see it through the lens of surrender. You don't need more time to feel whole. You need less resistance to the time you already have. You don't need to fix your schedule, you need to expand within it. You don't need to stretch the hours, you need to soften into your presence. Let go of the belief that you are behind. Let go of the belief that you must prove your worth through productivity. Let go of the anxiety that tells you life is slipping away. Life is not slipping, it is inviting. The moment is not passing you by, it is waiting for you to notice it. And when you do, when you finally see the now for what it is, a living, breathing sanctuary of divine awareness, you will understand that you never needed more hours. You only needed more presence. You only needed to stop chasing time and start expanding within it. There was a deeper part of you that already lives in harmony with time. It's the part of you that loses track of hours when you're doing what you love. It's the part that feels one breath stretch into eternity when you're holding a loved one, watching the stars, or hearing music that moves your soul. In those moments, you are no longer the chaser, you are the channel. You are no longer the one fearing time, you are the one dissolving into its sacred rhythm. This is what happens when you remember who you are. Not a creature of habit, but a current of heaven. Not a machine designed to produce, but a miracle designed to awaken. And to awaken, you must stop measuring your value by the world's frantic standards. You must reclaim your sacred right to rest, to be, to breathe, without guilt, without apology, without the illusion that stillness equals failure. You are not here to meet every deadline. You are here to meet your destiny. And destiny is not found in rushing. Destiny is revealed in receptivity. It speaks in the soft moments, in the subtle nudges, in the divine delays. But if you're always in a hurry, you'll miss the whispers that were meant to guide you. You'll miss the doorway disguised as a pause. You'll miss the miracle unfolding in what you thought was wasted time. How often have you condemned yourself for not being far enough? How often have you swallowed the shame of not yet, not knowing that the universe was rearranging the stars for your arrival? How often have you measured your life by artificial milestones, only to realize that none of them brought the peace you craved? Peace was never the reward. Peace was the path. But the path is invisible when you are sprinting through it. Slow down. not because you're falling behind, but because you're finally waking up to the truth. Presence is the gateway to power. Awareness is the home of miracles. And when you are fully here, fully now, fully you, everything aligns, not because you forced it, but because you flowed with it. Because you trusted that the universe was never against you. It was waiting for you to stop running. There are no late bloomers in the garden of the soul. There are only divine unfoldings. And your blooming is beautiful, not in spite of its timing, but because of it. Some souls need more winners before they rise. Some truths need more silence before they surface. Some hearts need more breaking before they become open enough to hold the light. What if the delays in your life weren't punishments but preparations? What if what looked like detours were actually initiations? What if time wasn't the enemy but the womb from which your higher self would be born? You can't rush birth. You can't rush the cracking of the shell. And you cannot force the soul into awakening. You can only allow it. And that's the key. Allowing, not controlling, not pushing, not demanding. Allowing, expanding, opening, trusting. This is the soul's relationship to time. Not a tug of war, but a dance. A surrender to the divine tempo that already knows the steps. When you stop rushing through life, you begin to see what you've been missing. You see the way the sunlight kisses the leaves. You hear the sound of your own intuition, faint but clear. You notice the sacred details, the look in a stranger's eye, the breath between words, the silence beneath noise. Life stops being something you run through and becomes something you are in communion with. And here's the sacred paradox. The more present you are, the more time seems to expand. You get more done with less stress. You make better decisions. You attract more synchronicity because your energy is clean, uncluttered, unclenched. You are no longer reacting to life. You are responding from truth. You are no longer racing the clock. You are dancing with eternity. You cannot heal while you are in a rush. You cannot receive when you are in survival mode. You cannot hear the divine when your mind is yelling over the still, small voice. To expand within time means to create space. Space in your thoughts, space in your emotions, space in your schedule, not as an escape, but as a sacred act of remembrance. Remember this, you are not behind. You are on time for your own life. The moment you arrive fully into the now, you are exactly where you are meant to be. No sooner, no later, no more, no less. So be here, breathe here, trust here. This is your portal. This is your healing. This is your miracle. The world will tell you to move faster, but your soul will ask you to move truer. One is noise, the other is wisdom. One exhausts, the other expands. And this is where your freedom begins, not by matching the world's speed, but by matching the universe's rhythm. It takes deep courage to slow down when everything around you says rush. It takes spiritual maturity to rest when the world rewards exhaustion. But until you stop equating your value with your velocity, you will remain trapped in the illusion that your worth is somewhere you have to arrive. It's not. It's here. Now. Always, when you stop chasing time, you begin to reclaim your life. Not just in hours and days, but in meaning, in presence, in sacred attention. Your relationships deepen. Your inner voice sharpens. Your nervous system softens. And life, once blurry from the race, becomes vivid again. You taste your food. You feel your emotions. You hear the wind speaking through the trees. You come alive not because you did more, but because you finally did less with more love. And isn't that the point of time? Not to control it, not to dominate it, but to fill it with depth, with love, with beauty that cannot be measured but only felt. The ego says, make every second count. The soul says, make every second sacred. There is a difference. One is pressure, the other is presence. So much of our anxiety comes from imagining we've fallen behind on a timeline no one truly understands. We compare, we panic, we rush. But have you ever asked, who created this race? Who decided what on time means? Who said you were too late for anything meant for your soul? The divine never rushes. It waits with infinite compassion for your readiness. You don't need to arrive quickly, you need to arrive wholly. And the only way to do that is to stop rushing your becoming. You are not an assembly line. You are a constellation being lit one star at a time. Let life pace you, not pressure you. Let love pull you, not force drive you. Let grace teach you that sometimes the deepest growth comes in the quietest season. The most powerful revelations happen not in the peak, but in the pause. The pause is sacred. The pause is where the divine whispers. And if you're in that pause right now, if things feel slow, still, or uncertain, know that you are not stuck. You are gestating. You are aligning. You are being tuned to a higher frequency. You are being invited to inhabit your life with more truth, more courage, more soul. In stillness, you will remember what matters. You will remember what no clock can ever measure the depth of your being. You are not here to do time. You are here to embody eternity. You are not here to chase the clock. You are here to awaken beyond it. Let every inhale be a return. Let every exhale be a release. You don't need to rush into the future to find yourself. You need to root into the now and let yourself expand, not with urgency, but with reverence. And that expansion doesn't always look like progress. Sometimes it looks like silence. Sometimes it looks like rest. Sometimes it looks like grief or patience or surrender. These are not delays. These are doorways. This is time becoming sacred again. Time is not your enemy. It is your ally when you stop fighting it. It is your teacher when you listen. It is your canvas when you become the artist of your life. You can't control how long anything lasts, but you can choose how deeply you live while it's here. You can choose to make a moment eternal by how open your heart is in it. You can choose to make peace the foundation of your hours. You can choose to move through time, not as a victim of its ticking, but as a creator of its meaning. You can choose to stop performing urgency and start living intimacy with this breath, with this step, with this moment, because the greatest miracle is not waiting in the future. It is waiting in the full embrace of now. You were not meant to be a servant of the ticking hand. You were not sent here to measure your life in deadlines, alarms, and schedules, but in awareness, presence, and the sacred art of noticing. Noticing the way the moment holds you when you stop resisting it. Noticing how peace begins to rise when you stop filling every corner of your day with noise. Noticing that what you were chasing was never time, it was you. You were looking for yourself in the future, not realizing you've been quietly waiting in the stillness all along. When you slow down, you don't lose time. You meet your life, you meet your wounds, you meet your truth. And you give yourself permission to feel, not as a distraction from progress, but as the very path to wholeness. To feel is not to fall behind. To feel is to return to what is real. The present moment is always real. The future is theory. The past is memory. But now is alive. It is breathing. It is sacred. And it is where God lives. And what is God if not the breath beneath the breath, the stillness behind every heartbeat, the intelligence flowing through the silence you keep avoiding? The divine does not shout. It waits. It whispers. And only the present is quiet enough to hear. There is no greater rebellion in a world that glorifies hustle than to become still and full of joy for no reason. Not because you achieved something, not because you crossed the finish line, but because you remembered you are enough without the chase. You are light without the rush. You are whole even when you are still. Time will pass no matter what. But you get to choose whether you pass through time numb or awake, whether you race toward an imagined destination or expand into the richness of every unfolding moment.
And the irony is, the more present you become, the more time begins to stretch for you. It opens, it bends, it yields, not to your control, but to your consciousness. Presence is the doorway through which the miraculous enters. And the miracle is not out there in some distant future where you finally made it. The miracle is this moment where nothing is missing and you are not late. How could you be late when the soul is timeless? How could you be behind when the divine has no stopwatch? The belief that you must hurry to catch up is rooted in forgetting who you are. You are not the body that ages. You are not the calendar you mark. You are not the plans you've postponed. You are the awareness, witnessing it all. You are the eternal, watching the temporary. You are the sky, not the storm. And the sky does not chase time. It holds it, it observes, it expands. And in this expansion, healing begins. Not by speeding up, but by slowing into yourself, slowing into your heart, slowing into your breath, slowing into the sacred truth that nothing essential can be missed. Your soul will not let you miss what was written for you. What's meant for you will not require self-betrayal to receive. It will not require burnout. It will not ask you to sacrifice presence in exchange for proximity. There is a divine choreography at work, and sometimes the most aligned step is stillness. Sometimes the most courageous act is not pushing harder, but listening deeper. Sometimes the next step is not forward, but inward. And inward is where time slows. Inward is where eternity begins. Inward is where the real you lives untouched by the ticking of clocks, unbothered by the world's obsession with urgency. You cannot find the soul in a rush. You cannot feel love when you are only moving. You cannot receive the universe when your arms are always reaching but never resting. Expansion doesn't come through force. It comes through surrender. It comes through trust. Trust that you are where you need to be. Trust that nothing essential can pass you by. Trust that your presence is more powerful than your performance. Trust that time is not your master, but your mirror, reflecting how deeply you allow yourself to be. And so I say, with the fullness of divine remembrance behind these words, stop running. Stop trying to beat the clock. Stop measuring your life in hours and start measuring it in awareness, in awe, in aliveness. Expand within the now, because this breath, this moment, this sacred stillness is where your life truly lives. The clock has no dominion over the eternal. It only governs what is temporary, what is surface. But you are not surface. You are not fleeting. You are not a race to be won. You are the sky above all rushing. You are the silence underneath all sound. You are the consciousness beneath the calendar. You are the breath before the name. The fear of running out of time vanishes when you realize you are the timeless. When you step into this moment fully, without resistance, without judgment, without grasping, time no longer moves against you. It moves with you. It begins to cooperate with your peace. It honors your trust. It blesses your stillness. It no longer demands of you. It delivers to you. Because when you are no longer striving to get somewhere, you are finally open to receive what has always been here. This moment is not in your way. It is the way. Every second you resist this moment, you delay the miracle. Every second you open to it, you allow the divine choreography to unfold. This is what expanding within time means, not just slowing your pace, but softening your grip. Releasing the narrative, releasing the guilt, releasing the lie that says you must chase something to be whole. You don't need more time to prove yourself. You don't need more time to become something else. You need only this moment, entered fully, breathed consciously, received humbly. And from here, everything changes. Not because the world suddenly gives you more time, but because you finally become timeless in your way of being. You start showing up with your heart instead of your clock. You begin to speak from your soul instead of your schedule. You begin to live as if every moment is sacred because it is. And then you start to notice the right people come, The right answers arrive. The tension begins to melt. The anxiety begins to fade, not because life became easier, but because you became present. You stopped performing, you started living, and your life responded accordingly. You are not late. You are not lost. You are not failing. You are arriving now. And if no one ever told you this before, let me tell you now, with the authority of every awakened heart that has ever remembered the truth, you are doing just fine. You are unfolding in perfect timing. You are learning what needs to be learned. You are shedding what must be released. You are blossoming, not despite your delays, but because of them. You are not separate from time. You are the pulse within it, the soul that gives it meaning, the consciousness that can turn any moment, even this one, into a gateway to the infinite. So breathe now. Be still now. Smile now, not because everything is fixed, but because you are finally home in yourself. Let the river of urgency dry up. Let the voice of the world fall silent. Let the whisper of your soul rise like a breeze through the leaves, soft, strong, undeniable. You are not here to waste time. You are here to remember the eternal presence that was never absent. You are here to reclaim the sacred rhythm that the world forgot. You are here to stop chasing and start expanding within the only place life has ever truly existed. Now, and now again, and now again, because every now is a miracle, and you are not missing a thing. This is your life. This is your time, and it is holy. Let it be enough. Let it be yours. Let it be.